What's up, y'all? You're listening to the My Aggie Nation podcast. I'm Alex Miller, joined always by Robert Cessna. Cease, we're in the thick of transfer portal season. The Aggies are up to 11 commitments as we film this on a cloudy Wednesday afternoon here in Aggie Land. Has anything stuck out to you so far what A&M's been able to add from the portal so far?
No, because once again, is when you look at some of these names, I go like, who are they or what? But once again, is we live in an era that all teams have looked. They know what they need. They know what these guys can do. They knew who they were going to lose. In other words, from my standpoint, I didn't think York would go pro. I thought Basantes would, for example. So I think York is a big loss considering he's a coach on the field. Very cerebral. Obviously wasn't an All-American. I mean, not even first team All-Conference. But how do you replace somebody like that? So Elko has proven that in these first 2 years, he has done great in the portal. So a lot of these guys, I mean, I didn't even think Howell when they first got him, like, hey, how was he? Well, it turns out he could almost a consensus, unanimous All-American. So that being said is, I don't think they have any glaring holes, but yet when you look at what happened, the way they lost their 2 games, they obviously do have holes.
Yeah, well, obviously losing Torian and Basantis are 2 big losses, and KC as well. He was already in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
He had already declared, I'm lost for words, but hey,
it's not like you're a writer.
Yeah, I know. But you look at who A&M's brought in at the one linebacker spot. Ray Coney from Tulsa led the American Conference in tackles this year. Look, run defense was something that A&M struggled with the whole way through, and it nipped them in the butt one more time against Miami. Getting a guy like Coney, who has proven to, even if it's at a little bit of a lower level, proven to be a little bit of a tackling machine. That's something that A&M can work with as well. And then if you look at the offensive line, like you mentioned, Basantis leaving. We already knew they were losing 3 starters and the 2 key backups with Kolifeu and Ruben Fothery. A&M's going to have a whole new offensive line just about, with Mark Naboo being the only one that's returning there. What stuck out to me on the offensive line is the 3 guys that A&M's gotten so far, they all have starting experience in the SEC. And you got to wonder if that was really something that Elko was looking for when he started planning out who they were going to try and bring in. Look, those guys were on a couple of units that really struggled this year with LSU and South Carolina. But starting experience in the SEC is starting experience in the SEC. And you got to give Adam Cushing a little bit of credit. He's done pretty good taking a unit that, let's not forget, was really bad. Probably more the likes of an LSU or South Carolina offensive line when they inherited that group, and they turned it into probably one of the biggest strengths of the team 2 years later.
Yeah, and they got to keep improving, because when push came to shove, they couldn't run the ball against Miami or Texas. And how much of that though was not having Lavian Moss, because I don't think A&M obviously has a all-conference back, let alone an all-American back yet. And with that good offensive line, and I thought they were really deep in running back, and then when Moss couldn't play, they weren't that deep. I thought Owens was good, wasn't great. And if you're going to be where A&M wants to be, you got to have a great offensive line and a great running back. And when push got to shove, they didn't have that.
You look at where things are standing at wide receiver. A&M still hasn't added a guy. They've got 3 really good options coming back in Mario Craver, Ashton Bethel-Roman, and Terry Bussey. I think everybody's eyes are on what's Cam Coleman going to do. All reports indicating that he's between A&M, Texas, Alabama, and Texas Tech. That's a guy that everyone in the country would love to add to their roster. A&M's right in the mix of things to get him this go-round.
Well, I think they definitely need another stud wide receiver when you look at how the year went. It was amazing how Concepcion and Craver fed off each other. It's suddenly Craver had the good hot start because everybody double-teamed Concepcion. Then suddenly, when they started saying, "Hey, we got to start guarding this Craver guy," then they went to Concepcion, and I think the sky's the limit for Bethel Roman. And former OC Colin Klein kept praising him, and I kept saying this guy had 4 catches last year as a redshirt freshman. But until he got hurt, he was making big plays, and if he makes progression, then A&M does have 2. Bussey hasn't proved to me yet that he can be consistently that home run threat or big threat. Maybe he steps up, but he hasn't yet to be where A&M wants to be. So once again, that's why you have to have multiple options, because there's this thing called injuries, which A&M had very few injuries when you stop and think about it, was able to overcome them, except I feel for the Moss injury.
Got a really good feel-good story at tight end.
Yeah, don't forget
with Houston Thomas coming in, the College Station native, who anyone who listened to the Brazos Sports Prepscast the last few years, they're pretty well-versed in what Houston Thomas is capable of doing. Look, A&M's losing 3 guys, the only 3 guys that caught a pass at the position last year, so there's no surprise necessarily that A&M's going to go and try and find a veteran person with some decent production to come in and try and fill that void. And look, Thomas is the hometown kid. Got to talk with him. He said that he once A&M came on the radar, it was kind of a no-brainer.
Very interesting. That's a great deal for A&M to bring. It's like when they brought in A.J. Smith, he did a lot of good things.
Like Nick Scorton, too.
You don't need necessarily to have a home run. You got to have a doubles and triples to make those home runs worthwhile. What I'll be interested to see is how they mold this team together offensively when we really see what Wingington does as OC, because nobody's the same. And A&M probably critiqued their offensive deal this year and probably said, what do we need to do? If you go back last year, what they need to do? They need to get wide receivers. They need to get tight ends. And they went out and got a slew of them. And you could almost say they almost had too many tight ends. But, what are they going to need that many moving forward? We don't know. That's something that Elko and his GM and new offensive coordinator probably decided. They've already decided. They just haven't told us. And let's not forget while we're doing the portals, the number one thing that I thought was important was getting the Illinois place kicker. Because obviously this year, you could say if they get the field goal against Texas, it's 3-0. What is that? That changes the game. You can't believe how important. We all take field goals for granted. My own Pittsburgh Steelers, they're still in the playoffs because the other guy couldn't make a small field goal. You got to make your field goals because psychologically it affects everybody on the team. And we saw that this year. You saw the fans, you saw the team, and even though they said, we didn't, it affected them.
Yeah, I mean, think about the Miami game, right? Like, if A&M had made that field goal in the first half, they're winning 6-3 when Miami's got the ball late in the game. How does that maybe change things? I mean, obviously Miami ran a really good play. It seemed like they were just playing for the field goal at that point and got to score the touchdown. But it changes the dynamics when you're playing from behind with under 2 minutes to go.
Yep.
And yeah, Alano, that is definitely a guy that you got to feel good about bringing in. He made 2 game-winning kicks this year. He's a veteran guy. He's got a really good track record from what the stats have to show. So special teams was a glaring problem for A&M in a multitude of ways this season. And so not surprised in the slightest that they're adding a guy like that.
He had great numbers. You think about all the bad conditions he had to kick in the Big Ten. Down here, he's going to think he came to Vegas, baby. He's going to have everything's going to be nice. And if A&M can get, let's be honest, the year before that was a plus because the way Bond went out there and hit field goals the previous year, he was like 22 or 26. You're not going to make all of them. But you see these guys go 24 out of 26. That's what A&M needs.
I'm really curious to see how A&M rounds out this portal class. From all indications, A&M's kind of they're hitting a lot of the key spots. It's been a pretty well-rounded class. It's been a very fast and furious class. We're not even a week into the portal cycle, and A&M's already into double digits. But definitely curious to see how this finishes out. And I think definitely, like we said before, all eyes are on Cam Coleman, seeing what he ends up doing. And if A&M doesn't land him, where do they maybe pivot to at wide receiver?
Well, once again, as we saw last year, they could have got they got the Texas Tech guy, then he panned out. You can't have all your eggs in one basket because let's say they wouldn't have got Concepcion. Where would this team be in? Whoa, or Craver, just one guy. So I think it's maybe important not only to get Coleman, but maybe somebody else. You never. But once again, they probably feel good with the three they got coming back. Once again, it's no different. This is like the NFL. You got a salary cap. You only can use so much. You can't have $1 million quarterback playing no snaps. I mean, it's you got to get the most for your buck, and that's the way it used to be. That's a salary cap. Why do certain teams win? You got to hit on these guys.
One more transfer portal note. Franklin's Bryson Washington. He's visiting A&M today. Not necessarily surprised that A&M's possibly going after one more running back. Losing 3 guys with a lot of veteran experience. It's going to be a young but talented running back room in 2026. If they were to land a guy like Bryson Washington, kind of gives you a bigger bodied back, something that they were kind of missing with Le'Veon Moss hurt, and a guy that has been a productive player at Baylor. He's going to be a veteran experience type player as well. Long way to go on that one for sure. He's still scheduled to visit Auburn, possibly another school as well. But not surprised in the slightest to see A&M go for a guy like him. And you got to wonder if they can land kind of that area kid with some local connections.
Got to remember, the SEC adds a game next year, 9 games. We've seen running backs. You get hammered. You look at the defensive linemen and the linebackers and the safeties in the SEC. You better be 4 deep at running back because you're going to probably have not necessarily 2 season-ending injuries, but you're going to have a couple running backs that are going to miss a game or 2. It's just the nature of the game because guess what? Everybody wants to establish the run in the SEC. That comes at a cost. And we saw suddenly this year, suddenly Moss is out. Suddenly Owens got hurt. You have people hurt. You better be 4 deep.
Well, and a guy like Washington really fits the mold of the type of player and personality that you want in that running back room, right? Franklin ran a slot T offense. Baylor ran kind of a run-based deal. I mean, guy runs like hell, competes like crazy. That's the kind of guy you want toting the rock on 3rd and 2.
I was very impressed and still am. I think one of the big reasons Miami's still in the playoffs because that running back, he moved the pile. He reminded me of a little bigger Moss. He moved the pile. I forget his name right now. Fletcher.
He's been phenomenal.
He moves the pile every time. And when you're doing that against quality teams, it's amazing if you can run the rock. And Fletcher can. He did it against A&M. He did it against Ohio State. He'll probably do it against Ole Miss. And that's what A&M needs. Everybody needs one of those. And you try to get one.
Who's going to be your semifinal picks?
It's hard, right now is Indiana's everybody's love. I get it, but you got to remember, Oregon won the Big Ten last year. I mean, and Dan Lanning is a great coach. I'll still take Indiana. And you got to go with Ole Miss a little bit, but, Cinderella is Miami. I'm looking forward to all of them because I don't have a horse in the race, so to speak. I just want to see a good game, and we've seen some decent games. And if it gets down to a 1-possession game in the 4th quarter, I'll be happy because guess what? We're going to got 3 college games left. It's going to be a while till we see A&M play nobody or Arizona State. So it's going to be a while.
I think we're in for a good finish to the college football season.
I think
so. It's hard to beat a team twice when you look at Oregon and Indiana. We know that. Yeah. I mean, just ask Georgia about that with Ole Miss.
Yeah, it's just hard to beat a team. And I don't like that Oklahoma, Alabama. I mean, you go back, it's tough.
It's tough. Well, hey, amid all of the transfer portal craze, we still got basketball season going on. On one hand, the A&M men have started off pretty dang good to conference play. And on the other hand, the A&M women, they really let one they needed to get slip right through their hands when they lost to Georgia on Sunday. So we'll start with that. Just in a multitude of levels, it was just an unacceptable way to lose a game when you think about missing 27 straight shots, not getting a single bucket in the final, 19 minutes of game time? I mean, just a brutal way to lose a game that A&M led at one point by 19.
I've had people ask me, have you ever covered a team that missed 27 straight field goals? And I can't really remember. I've seen people miss a lot of threes. It's not unusual for any team to miss 15 three-pointers. You're shooting from 18 feet or 19 feet, depending on men or women. It's hard to make, but A&M missed like 12 layups out of those 27. They just all went cold, and it kind of reflects where A&M is right now. This is a much improved team. They have, believe it or not, they have more scoring options. But once again, the proof's got to be in the pudding, and they're 0-2 in conference play. They're going to Florida, a team picked to finish ahead of them that has one of the most dynamic players in the country, point guard, I think it's McGive or whatever. Didn't do my homework before I went on here. I just know she's awful good. She's averaging 24 a game. The point being is A&M really needs a win in the worst ways because they're already 0-2. Then they turn around and they play Vanderbilt, Texas, and LSU in a row. The SEC, first conference ever to have 5 teams ranked in the top 7. I mean, you look how tough it is. And A&M's not trying to get in the top 10. They're trying to get in the top the country. They're trying to get in the top 10 of the SEC. And so you got to feel for Joni Taylor and her team. They've made a lot of improvement, but everybody says, show me the pudding. And they had that game. 9-0, they jump out to. They really played great for 4 minutes into the third quarter. We've been 24 minutes roughly, but you got to play 40 minutes in college basketball. And so they got to win that game Thursday night. I think it's going to be tough if they don't, because then Joni even said they started losing confidence. I don't care what you do in life. If I sit here and start, and you're going to say something, well, you just, whatever you do, you got to have confidence in what you do. And right now, they're lacking a little bit of confidence. And who's not lacking confidence is that men's team.
Oh my gosh, what a game Tuesday night on the Plains. I know you were working and didn't get to see the ending of it, but for everyone who did,
I've heard it, yeah.
Was it on his finger? According to the officials, it was. Look, the fact of the matter is, A&M came out red hot. Auburn started play like the team that we all expected Auburn to be, and then A&M just went full-on buckyball at its best for about 10 minutes, and then Auburn just miraculously comes back, makes it a game, and I don't know. I mean, to me, it's kind of one of those ball don't lie moments where they had the clock thing go on when A&M missed the free throw at the end, and they gave the ball to Auburn in 0.6 seconds. I mean, look, I'm not here to say whether it was right or wrong, but the fact of the matter is they said it was no good, and that is a huge win for A&M. Look, this is a team that let's be honest, they probably got to get to 500 in conference play to have a shot at making the NCAA tournament, given that they don't really have that strong of a resume from non-conference play. They're two of 9 games there. They got 7 to go, and they got 16 games to play in conference. They've still got quite a few games that you think, okay, you could beat a team like South Carolina. You could beat the Mississippi schools. You're going to get LSU again. Texas has really been struggling. You get them twice. Curious to see how A&M fares against Oklahoma, one of their other mirror opponents. And, oh, by the way, A&M's doing this all without their best player, Mackenzie Mbako.
Yeah, A&M does not play a ranked team at home right now in their last 8 games. So if they take care of business at home, they already got 2 wins in SEC. So actually, there's a real simple formula to get to 9. Just beat they play all the ranked teams right now on the road. And so they already stole one of those road wins, so to speak, at Auburn, even though Auburn wasn't ranked. So you look at team playing with confidence. If they take care of Oklahoma on Saturday, which you got to win at home, that means they're 3-0. That means they'd be 6 away from getting to 9. And I don't care what you do. You put them in on the win column. They can't take them away. And so if they can win Saturday, boy, man, oh man, you're setting gravy, and you can even start thinking more. But just get to 9.
Yeah, to me, we've talked all along. It seemed like the mark of a successful season for this year's A&M men's basketball team was simply just getting to the NCAA tournament and maintaining that level of success. We all know that Bucky was kind of dealt a bad hand when he came in. He got in late. Portal had pretty much already been rated of the top players. Put together a pretty decent roster. You lose your best player to injury, and now they're just making the most of it. A&M plays tough. They play gritty. It seems like they're really starting to figure things out in that system. And if A&M gets hot, man, this is a team you don't want to play, because if they play like they did in that 10-minute stretch against Auburn where they went on that 33-6 run, good luck to whoever you're facing.
Because basketball, we all know, it's a game of runs. And whereas A&M women missed 27 in a row, with Bucky ball, suddenly you can hit 14 out of 15, and actually 10 of them will be three-pointers. So you do the math, that's about 35 points you can do real quick, and that's the philosophy behind him. Because you're going to have lulls. You're going to have those 10-minute periods where you have one field goal, and it's just the way it goes. But like I said, you start putting your first 3 games into victories, oh my gosh, you're a third of the way home, baby.
Yeah, guys who have really stepped up for A&M so far, obviously Rashawn Aggie, he's been the glue guy. Been really impressed with Rylan Griffin. He fills up the stat sheet in a lot of different ways. And then A&M's bench has just been phenomenal lately, led by guys like Pop Isaacs. He had 21 last night against Auburn. Ali Diva's a guy who's really stepped up these last 3 weeks. We saw him come in clutch last Saturday when they played LSU in the conference opener. You got to be out there, wrote a column for the folks who want to go check that out at theeagle.com. But yeah, look, A&M's got a very advantageous home slate. The first month of the season is full of games that they can win. It's not inconceivable that they could enter February probably 6-2 in conference play. That'd be a really good spot heading into the home stretch of the season.
Yeah, and to go out, they're very entertaining. I think they were 7,500 at Saturday's game. They were into the game. They're going to shoot a lot of threes. They're going to get up and down. They're going to play a lot of defense. You might pick that game where they're going to lose 80-60 because the shots aren't going to fall, but they won't from lack of trying, and they are fun to watch. So that's what a lot of people want. Come on, basketball does need to be entertaining. It needs to be up in your face defense and get the ball and go. A&M in the past, they've had coaches that love defense, grind it out, and you're trying to win 60-55. Well, sometimes fans don't really get into that, particularly the younger crowd. You'll get into Bucky ball if you show up and you're there when they win. If you were there Saturday, you're going back.
Hey, just don't be a millisecond late.
So I've heard.
Or else it won't count.
I'm usually a millisecond late with my bills that I pay, and a lot of times I can be a week late.
Well, hey, we're going to try not be a millisecond late getting today's paper out. You can read all of our content at theeagle.com. Cease, any final thoughts on what's going on here in town right now?
No, just once again is you try to bridge it. This is a big softball community town. Baseball, we all know. Even tennis, come on, track.
Hey, they're starting season number 2
yeah,
the women.
but
the men are 13. It's going to be a good spring.
But my point is, if you can bridge it from football to the spring, Bucky ball could be a nice bridge to that.
For sure. Hey, thanks for tuning into this week's episode of the My Aggie Nation podcast. We'll be back next week, hopefully, talking more A&M sports.